Welcome to the Acer Predator pre-show.
Hello and welcome to day one of the Americas Minor here for IEM Katowice. We are looking forward to getting into this one. I mean, this is like a pretty interesting minor for me, largely because, you know, usually I'm so used to calling it the North American minor or the NA minor, right? Yeah. But you know, they're the minority here, right? We have mainly Brazilian teams. We also have a South African team in the form of Bravado, which is a real talking point for me. I mean, this is something that we can go on to later on. But I mean, who would be like some interesting teams to keep an eye on, in your opinion, within this region?
I think Bravado has to be like top of your list there in terms of, you know, surprising teams to be there. Obviously, they had a great end of the previous year. We saw them have a actually fantastic run at DreamHack Winter, ending up second there when no one even expected them to get out of their group. So, yeah, I think Bravado, to me, the most interesting team without a doubt in this minor in terms of, you know, don't know what they're going to do and how they're going to perform. But also, all these Brazilian teams as well. We have so much talent. We have INTZ making a return, and that's kind of interesting to see with some of the players on this this roster as well. So, yeah, definitely keep your eyes out over the course of these coming days to see who's going to be making it out of this America's Minor, and we're going to be kicking things off over on this stream with NRG versus Imperial. I didn't have to look down there. I already knew it, Harry. But yeah, let's take a little bit of a look at the groups at least in a second to try and work out how things are going to go and what games we obviously have coming up. You can see Group A. That's what we're covering. Give us a run through, Harry.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, we have NRG, the team that is surprising everyone with the fact that they're still here. You know, obviously they had a pretty troubling time back in London. They were eliminated there during the minor stage, which was you know, a pretty devastating blow for a team that otherwise had such a fantastic year. Then, you know, we have the likes of Imperial and INTZ, both out of Brazil. Exciting stuff there. Obviously, you've got Showtime over Inferior trying to bring some of that experience into this roster now. And then, you know, the INTZ guys, you've got KNG. He's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on. And Bravado, we've touched upon them. South African team. I had a little chat with Sonic last night. They're feeling very, very comfortable heading into this event. Obviously, as well, I believe they were able to pick up the win out in India for that DreamHack event that just went on out there. In spite of a pretty slow start from them, they were, I'm pretty sure, undoubtedly the favorites, I think, for most people. So a much needed win, especially on the back of their slow start, you know. And one of the reasons Bravado was so interesting to me is obviously they've been out in America, they've been practicing there, they've been putting in the effort, and, you know, now it's all about seeing if that pays off. But now let's take a look at that Group B, because things do get that much more exciting. You don't want to break this one down for us.
Yeah, I think the big one is Envy, right? We already talked to Carrigan. He's going to be taking part in that team here as well, and playing with the North Americans, so I'm excited to see that coming in. Team 1 Esports, another Brazilian team. We remember some of these guys back from WSG Haiku, where they got that big couple of upset wins versus Cloud9 and nearly Fnatic as well. Fury Esports, another Brazilian team. We can't get enough of them here over in the Americas Minor, and ending with E United, another team that definitely towards the you know, second half of 2018 showed us to be a real contender over in the North American region. So I think we have a lot of talking points, a lot of cool rosters, and, you know, this is again shaping up to be another very competitive minor. We've already seen that over in the CIS and the European regions where, you know, not always as expected results went through. Think about Mousesports, think about Optic. So yeah, we've had some upsets without a doubt, and I'm sure that will continue. But let's have a look at the schedule as well to see what we're going to be covering over on the secondary stream here to start things off. NRG versus Imperial. That's going to be our first game.
Yeah, the real talking point for me, the one that I'm really looking forward to is that Envy game, right? Yeah. Because I'm excited to see how they do. You know, I've been speaking to Carrigan about how they've been preparing for this. Obviously, they just went and boot camped over in London. He's taken over the IGL role within the team, and, you know, I mean, some interesting stuff upon speaking to him. You know, about who he's been focusing on within this roster, who's been players he's been trying to, you know, set up a little bit more. One of the real talking points that we spoke about was him trying to put Drone into the limelight a little bit more, which is something I'm a big fan of, right? Because he's always someone to me who's been, you know, he's been like a good player within a lot of the teams he's been in, like pretty decent, but he's quite like a quiet guy. He's not someone who's going to be necessarily pushing to take a lot of these like star roles. And you take a look at it, right? Even if you go back like a few years, he was always someone who there was like a lot of potential, but it never really aspired into much. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. I think if you were going to look towards an IGL to bring out the best in his players and actually make them perform, on a level kind of better. I think Carrigan would be one of the names that springs to mind.
And it's so nice to see more experience, especially from top tier European teams, be put now into North American teams in that sense, right? Even Carrigan was saying that he'll correct Drone 6 times and a half and tell him, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, and Drone will just go, yeah, okay, thank you, and learn from that. And that's so nice to see, more and more regions developing, more teams improving, and more players individually getting better. It's just better for the Counter-Strike scene as a whole. So I'm kind of excited for Envy here. I want to see them do well, but there's so many teams, there's so many storylines. So this minor is going to be crazy, I think, in the Americas. I think we have, like, I wouldn't even know who the guaranteed top 2 are. Not that there are a guaranteed top 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to say NRG, just for the pedigree and the fact that they're looking to try and, undo their previous mistakes. But with that 2nd and 3rd place slot, I think it does become a huge question mark. There's a lot of unknown factors here. You have a lot of these teams that have always been so good at these upsets, and they do play very, very clean. Counter-Strike, another one that's interesting to me is these Team 1 guys. I've always been a fan of following them. But, I think, this is stuff we can touch on when we get to the actual matchup. Of course, that's going to be coming up in just a moment. But before that, we're going to throw this over to a real quick break. Be sure to stick around.
Champions of ESL 1 Cologne.
Do you remember?
Welcome to the Cathedral of Counter-Strike.
Think you've seen it all?
Are you ready to be a part of Counter-Strike history?
ESL 1 returns to Cologne in 2019.
Think you can't capture a clutch in full resolution while streaming the play to the world? Watch this. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
Synergy of brute strength, born of elite core power, to thrive under pressure in the most hostile conditions, and built to overclock. Prepare for combat. Go forth and conquer.
I've been there since the beginning. Every map, every frag, every moment. I run, but I never hide. With knowledge comes power, and power is to be wielded wisely. Which is why, as the expert, I bet with Betway. If you know CSGO, then you'll know the best way to bet on esports is with Betway, for the love of the game.
Vodafone presents the pre-match.
Welcome back to the Americas Minor. We have our first game going on in just a second. It is, of course, going to be Imperial taking on NRG, one of the big favorites for this entire region. Of course, that mainstream as well will have Bravado INTZ, but they're currently still sitting in an overtime game over on the Asian Minor between Renegades and Greyhounds. So we'll keep you updated with that as well across both regions. But this is the real meat and potatoes, Harry. This is the opening game of the Americas Minor. Who's going to win it?
Well, I think you have to look at NRG as the plain favourites here, right? Obviously, these guys, as everyone keeps bringing up, just because it was such a shocking thing when we saw them in the minors over in London, they did a very poor job. Definitely fell way short of expectations. Most people having them pegged to even go as far to maybe make like top 8 of the major, right? Because at that point in time, you look at how they'd been doing, they'd been looking utterly fantastic, right? Yeah. So, dropping out of the minors, certainly not what they wanted. It was a huge surprise when that happened, and they're not looking to relive those same mistakes here. No,
and a lot of that, we do have to remember what their upper bracket loss back at London was to Complexity, who did manage to get top 8 of the major. So I don't want to take that away from them at all. But at the time, that was a very, surprising victory. I think the big one was Rogue, right? Rogue, who obviously, back there with Cadian, really improving as a team. They managed to get the victory over NRG, which I think was more of a surprise. But yeah, definitely hoping NRG can bounce back in this one.
Well, I think I just heard that we have the brackets ready. So let's go ahead and see if we can bring these up on your screens. We do have over here in Group A, as you brought up, NRG versus Imperial. That's going to be going on here. And over on the mainstream later on, Bravado versus INTZ. That one is also going to be a real barn burner of a game. Be sure to have both of these streams open because you're not going to want to miss anything, but just have the audio unmuted on this one. This is the only place you're going to want to be. We'll keep you updated with both. And yeah, Bravado versus INTZ, that's an interesting one. INTZ, obviously, they got KNG back in the roster. I think, he's going to be a real focal point for them. Bravado, you have, for me, it's going to be that duel between Sonic versus KNG. I'm looking forward to that. 2 stars of either side going blow for blow with one another.
Yeah, not an easy group by any means, but let's move on to the second one of Group B as well and see who we've got. We've got Envy facing on Team 1 Esports to start things off over there, and of course, Furia versus E United. So we haven't got any domestic Brazilian games just yet, Harry, but I'm sure they'll be coming once we've got
it's going to happen, all right. With so many Brazilian teams in the mix, it is going to happen. You know that it will, and I do love that. There is history between a lot of these guys, so that's always going to be fun to look into. For me, the real kind of star game here is the one that we're going to be covering, which is that Team Envy versus Team 1 game. I really do think we got the better end of the stick there, Hugo.
Yeah, we've come up top.
We've done well for ourselves.
Yeah, we've.
A bit sad that we don't get to see Bravado. I do want to see what those South African guys have to bring.
Yeah, plenty more.
Yeah, there's going to be more opportunities, you imagine.
Yeah, we do have a whole week here of Americas and Asian Minor as we just finished the CIS and EU ones, and of course after that, I think what we've already talked about. Probably the most exciting thing is the fact that we're going to be covering the minor, third place playoffs, which is going to be so much fun. Ooh, one team from each tournament will unite. Harry.
Yeah, so the reason why this is so exciting to me, I think it's such a good change, right? Like, really, like, props to yourself for throwing this out there is, it's like you're still giving slots to all these regions, which a lot of people did have issues with, but it just means that the best teams really are going to be rising to the top. You're not really getting as many freebies, right, as you used to, and that one's going to be good for me. Obviously, we've already got North and I believe Windstrike are the 2 teams confirmed for it. We get to find out who's moving into there from the Americas and Asian any day now. But I believe we just got told that the map vetoes are in. So let's take a look at this. We're going to be ending up on Nuke. So we get to see a bit more of that today, which is a bit of a surprising one to me, Hugo.
I'm excited. I'm in the back of my head, I've not seen that much Imperial coming into this event, so I'm kind of excited to see if they can impress us, they can surprise us, what these guys have got to bring to the table. Obviously, it's very difficult when you are Imperial and you're coming up against, without a doubt, the most favored team in the entire minor for your region. So, yeah, not an easy game by any means, but at the end of the day, that works in both ways, right? Not only are you not going to be expected to win, but also, it's meaning that if you lose, you brush it off, you bounce back, you win your elimination best of 3. But if you do win, that's a huge victory. And NRG, we don't know how much prep they've done for these guys, but I can imagine Chet's been on the ball there at least, and hopefully we're going to have a real barn burner for our first best of one.
Yeah, I think usually, right, if you're NRG, if this was any other event, you could afford to come into it just, you know, attempting to ride on the back of your individual talent, individual prowess. I think the reason why they might have practiced, even for some of these lesser known teams, is just because of the results of that last minor, right? You can't have it that 2 minor circuits in a row you underperform and end up getting knocked out.
Yeah.
And NRG, they certainly do not want to let that happen. They can't afford to have any surprises. They can't afford to have any upsets. And I think this opening game is a really important one for them, just because you do take such a huge advantage on the back of winning it, right? You go on through, you have a couple of extra chances. So if you do, you know, mess up in those best of ones, then it doesn't come back to punish you as hard.
Yeah, without a doubt. So where do we really go from here? That's the thing. Well, do you have much experience with Imperial in terms of
no? So I'll be honest. I mean, I haven't seen much on this current roster. The thing that's interesting to me is obviously they bring in Showtime. He was like originally from the Luminosity game back in the day, and then you know, then we have DZT and I think it's Shuz, but I never know if he's that or if he wants SHZ. I don't know. Point is I've heard very, very good things about him. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table in this one. DZT is another one where, you know, I've seen decent stuff from him. So, you know, I think there's a few unknowns if you're NRG heading into this matchup. Nuke, obviously, like a nice middle ground map for both teams, but I still think you have to edge this one in favor of NRG. I think the thing for Imperial, if they're going to pick it up, it has to be on the back of that surprise factor and the fact that maybe NRG get a bit complacent.
Yeah, especially when one of the more experienced players that you are bringing in as Imperial is an AWP player, that being Showtime, right? So you're going into a map where AWPing is not really known to be too effective on the T side, for example. That's definitely going to hold you back in some sense. However, it works both ways. Cirque is also the star of NRG. You know, in a lot of their games, it is of course between him and Ethan. But yeah, he's got to be somewhat, you know, finding a hard stuck time coming into Nuke. Yeah, I'm really ready to see what Imperial can bring to the table.
Well then, okay, I'll ask you this. Yeah. Who for NRG then would you say we should be keeping an eye on? Because, you know, you've already said you haven't seen much out of the Imperial. You know, you haven't got to watch them play all too much. But for NRG, who should we be keeping our eyes on in this matchup, Hugh?
I think that's a fairly easy answer. I think you've got to go with Ethan, right? In the same way that he is just the star of this team. He is unbelievably talented at such a young age as well. So I hope that can continue. I hope he has a good event as well, because, you know, we need everyone here to step up for NRG. And, you know, going into the major as well, potentially, if they do manage to get through this minor circuit, it's not going to be an easy road. There are so many good teams in that you know, final major spot.
Yeah, most definitely. Ooh, hello.
Nice.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I do agree with the Ethan pick. For me, he's always been the star of this team. For the longest time, I feel like he was somewhat overshadowed by Cirque, just because Cirque is a very, very flashy AWPer. But the thing I will say is, like, definitely not the most consistent of forces. I think that's something that, you know, definitely if you are Imperial, you can look to try and abuse, because you do have Showtime here. And he is, you know, more of a consistent AWPer. I think, you know, you could definitely say out of the two of them, Cirque's the guy who goes for those big, ballsy, flashy plays a lot more. And then, you know, another man who I think you have to highlight is Breezy. Obviously, you know, if you want to look at the three-man core of this team, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that it would be Breezy, Ethan, and of course Cirque over on that AWP. Breezy, someone who I would say is very, very consistent in his performances. You know, very, very competent. You're never going to have a situation, right, where you don't have him show up in the map. He's pretty much locked in as someone who's going to be at least decent. So yeah,
if not more.
Yeah, right. And that's what you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, sorry.
I was going to jump in with a bit of mainstream update for you guys.
I love
just because we're mulling over while we're waiting for this game to begin. The players are all on the server now, but Renegades have actually taken a 2-0 victory. They won the overtime game in map number 2 of Greyhound's pick on Mirage, 19-17, and so they're going to be going through the minor as well, at least into the playoffs on day number 1, and that's fantastic for these teams as well. If you manage to win both your opening games and get through to the playoffs on day 1, it means not only do you get a bit of time off to rest and relax and prepare, but also you're through the cutthroat start. You don't have to play these elimination games. You don't have to have your tournament life on the line. But thank you for waiting around, boys and girls, because we do finally have this first game of the Americas Minor ready to begin. NRG versus Imperial. We've got the North Americans versus the Brazilians as we head into this one over on Nuke. Definitely favourites for NRG, as you can see the Betway odds show. But do Imperial have some tricks up their sleeves? That's what we're waiting to find out.
Yeah, let's see as we hop into this. Imperial, they get the CT side of the map, so important to note they're looking to get off to a good start here. Obviously, you know, Imperial recently having a pretty decent showing out in Brazil, domestically at least. Having a very good time of things as of late. So let's see if that can translate into international waters here. As NRG wrapping up into the heavens. DZT going to get forced off the top of Hut, and Breezy is there to open things up. Ethan going to be in with another, and that's DZT promptly dealt with. Blink of an eye, actually, it does fall onto just 2 players here for Imperial. Bomb goes down, and NRG with time to get into these post plants. They've mopped up the man in the back, and that leaves Tifa in this 1-on-4.
Oh, Fugly not going to be watching the right angle there. Gets caught from behind. Issue is lack of kit and 3 players still alive. He's even getting wrapped from lower. Ethan's on the yard, and Tifa's just going to miss the timing as well. So knife in the back here as Ethan creeps and climbs in. Nice shot from Tifa mid-air. But it's not going to mean anything here for Imperial. They do lose that pistol round. It's a fast A play from NRG. The kick starts this map. And already the T side off to a strong start.
Yeah, that doesn't bode all too well for Imperial over here on the CT side. Obviously, they're not too keen on letting NRG get off to a rip-roaring start. They will just have to take one on the chin as we see them go for this eco here. Now, one of the things I kind of looked into while I was reading up on this Imperial team, because I haven't seen all too much from them, I'll be honest, is yeah, I kind of touched on briefly, domestically, they've been looking good. When I say good, I mean like very good. You know, they come into this, they've been besting teams such as Team 1, Furia. They've already been able to beat them in these domestic matchups for qualifiers here and there, you know, smaller cups that have been going on out in Brazil. So I think, you know, they're going to be feeling pretty confident here heading into the minor. Obviously, a team that hasn't been together all too long. But no real chance to get to see any of that here in this pistol round from them, as it is just the eco. NRG able to mop up all the kills in the server. 5 players staying alive, so the T-side economy given a chance to swell on up. And with 4 MAC-10s in play, the 1 AK on Breezy, you can bet that they're going to go for the bonus round here over on the side of NRG. And you can see kind of the issue that that presents for Imperial. They have to buy the head armor here. They've got no choice in that matter. And this is, you know, where if you do eco in that second and they run a bonus, you do get a little bit screwed in that sense. You look at how much less utility they have. They don't have any kits. I think that's going to be a real problem, because now this gives NRG the option to play pretty fast and aggressive, combined with the fact they have the MAC-10s still. You make note that they didn't keep 4 of them up. They upgrade on 2 of these players. So they're going to try and use Daps as a bit of a probe towards outside. They send him into this portion of the map with the wall of smokes to block off the vision. He gets into secret, while the rest of NRG, trying to pressure ramp, are going to run into some resistance from Tifa.
Yeah, he's going to drop off, but he can't get that first kill. Great shot from Ethan. Dink down to 10, but that's the B site now going to be under the control somewhat of NRG. We do have that rotation down through the vents, and Shiz looking to catch out Daps, knowing earlier that these smokes went outside. Breezy, in the meantime, he's found himself a second kill onto this T side, and Shiz will finally get that flanking player down. But NRG, they've still got 3 players up for a little bit of time, and the bomb plant in. Now down a man with Ethan low means Fugly is in a position where he has to step up.
Gonna try and join up with Ethan. Other side of the smoke is Showtime. Right through. DZT deletes Fugly, and that leaves Ethan in this 1-on-3. Only 10 HP to his name. They tap on the bomb, but they're trying to bake the peak. They have to get on it sometime soon, because no kits are in play. They do manage to pick him up. Ethan offers himself to them on a bit of a silver platter there, and that will be Imperial locking in their first round with milliseconds to spare. We see them grace our scoreboards early over here in their CT side. Buy still available for NRG, won't be an issue just yet.
was, of course, the bonus round, and considering they get 3 kills and a bomb plant out of it, not too bad. It allows for the AWP early to be brought up, and that's interesting. A lot of teams are reluctant to bring up the AWP, you know, so quickly on this T side, but Cirque clearly ready to game, ready to go. Going to be buying it up into the first rifle round possible for NRG. Smokes towards the yard as well, so Imperial had nothing to combat this in the previous round, and NRG have got a read as a result. Very lax positioning towards outside, but that's fine. If you rotate an early player down towards B like ZQKS has already gotten into, and you can afford to give up the yard, DZT is watching it back from CT spawn, but if these smokes do land, he's going to have minimal impact into this hold. Flash is good though, and he's forced off. That actually allows a man to cross. I don't know if he caught it there, but now NRG have control down towards B. That's a very good timing play. Ethan even climbing up from the back as well towards Heaven, so might be able to get this free kill, but the issue is it's 1 second after DZT kills Cirque. So a 1-for-1 trade going early on, and Imperial decide to get aggressive towards the hut. This could come very, very badly for them because Breezy's on the angle. He'll find the first frag and even try to double it down. Shiz will trade. Fugly letting him escape as he hasn't got a lot of options to stop him, but Shiz runs forward to his death. Same story for ZQKS, and this round has fallen apart from Imperial. A lot of aggression, not necessarily needed.
And I mean, now just one man to stand between the likes of Fugly and Daps, who play this one together. They group up, looking to try and trade off of one another. And this is one that they're going to struggle to throw away. Tifa holding close, lets them cross. And oh, that was almost a disaster. He actually almost gets it done. Fugly able to trade things out quickly. But by the skin of his teeth, that certainly wasn't comfortable for NRG.
Yeah, I'm crazy. It's crazy that it comes down to that close, but good position taken considering the weapon. And either way, NRG are going to get that reset onto Imperial, so a buy has to come through here for the CT side. They've been broke. They've been reset. Scout, Org, MP9. It's not the worst buys here from Imperial considering the context of this. NRG, still 2 SMGs. They're far from perfect in that previous round, so again, challenging this yard, an area of contention that Imperial haven't really quite been able to hold on to in the past. Shiz this time, he's the man down lower. That's a missed smoke. Cirque right-clicks it while running into his teammate, stopping his movement and dropping it at his feet. Shiz now has got to watch out for this push down lower.
Yeah, I mentioned how, you know, out of everyone in this team, one of the guys who I have heard looks pretty promising is this man on our screens. Ooh, and he's looking to try and show us why. He who shall not be named, largely because I don't know how he wants me to say it, is able to open things up. Ooh. Perhaps toying with death here. Ooh. Oh, he's been able to get by, the first time and actually sprays him down. So both players fall, Cirque in with another. And now it does just leave DZT a long way from home, outside here with the AUG in hand. Able to open things up, but that smoke locks him out of the bomb site. They do have to go back and get the bomb, so you can see Breezy's running around now. And that does give DZT time to potentially find some of these engagements. Ooh. Sneaking on in. He's denied the bomb plant. Oh, he's looking for a bit more. But Daps able to keep his cool. 4th round cemented for NRG over here on the T side as they pick up the triple over on Daps. He really does save that round there, in all honesty. Down towards that B bomb site, you remember his duel versus Shuz, I think, as you've been calling. I imagine that's how it's said. Maybe it's SHZ. This is the issue.
Just,
I mean,
just
with
pick
the
one
3...
and commit to it, Harry.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
And then people will inevitably correct us if we're wrong. That's what I do, you know. Just roll with it.
Right. So, Steve it is.
Well, fast ramp play in this round. Imperial have had no success on these full ecos, and Daps, he's just loving SMG kills right now, just tearing them apart. Cirque gonna get aggressive, or catch the aggression, sorry, rather into main, into hut. It's a dominant start for NRG on their T side of Nuke. 5-1 here. Imperial back on guns. Finally, it feels like it's been all too long considering the economy has been so much more in favor of NRG. A lot of that due down to that bonus round. After winning the pistol. Here's where we have to have a turnaround for Imperial. We don't have an AWP yet in play, but we do have full rifles. However, no kit again, Harry, so watch out for those post-plant situations.
For DZT, he's hidden in this smoke and he spots those players out on top of the hut. Now looking to try and flank in late. They're not ready for him. And that's Ethan found in the back. The bomb's dropped and now Cirque and Fugly, all that remain. They've got to go absolutely huge here and Fugly's looking to do exactly that. He's managed 2 of the 4 kills required for him to clutch this round out, but now having to reposition. That bomb is dropped. Fugly trying to sell the fact that he's fallen off the angle, does still have a flash and a Molotov to work with his head. QKS going to shut him down, and that will be Imperial in with their second round. They're able to fight back against the lone gunman over on the side of NRG. Issue they're going to face over on this CT side is, while it was a 4v1 at one point in time, losing 2 players now leaves them vulnerable to this reset. You can see Showtime, he's on the auto shotgun, looking to try and make a name for himself with that.
He makes some money back for that AWP that he's yet to have as well. Cirque has got his on the T side though. Top of the hut roof goes Showtime. Again, this aggression from Imperial seems to be relentless. He doesn't push into the lobby, but this close position is going to be very valuable. Imperial just have to be careful not to overstep the mark, because NRG's default has been stellar so far. They've caught every time that Imperial have pushed up into this lobby. Cirque watching the yard for aggression as well. Won't happen, so Ethan. Quick push on top of the main roof. NRG setting up for an A play, but the issue is with this is we have that split in from main, so it's going to be a lockdown to whether ZQKS can stop that Molotov landing, forcing him out of position. This allows Ethan to go for the wrap, but ZQKS already on the angle, starts things off.
Yeah, so once more, the Brazilian squad are going to be securing the early man advantage here. No reply just yet from NRG as now they try and turn their attention towards this ramp position. Fugly is able to go ahead and get the trade at the very least, but this leaves him and Daps once more in a 2v4, the tag team duo. Just as I try and build it up, they get stripped on down, and it's Imperial continuing to get off to a good start here. Important thing to know, by the way, you'll note that, you know, we have NRG Esports over on the right side, Imperial Esports over on the left, and only one of those ways is writing it is correct, and the other says Imperial Esports, so yeah. No, I mean, other than that, right, like, it's fine. Everything else about the branding's sick, but they just need to, it really does trigger me. I mean, they're doing both. They're doing both the bad things with it, putting the dash and the capital S. My goodness.
Calm down, Red Eye.
That's what I was going to say. Red Eye is, I like to think now he's just boycotting the stream. He's not happy.
Mainly because you're on the broadcast, but...
Yeah, most definitely.
I don't blame him.
No, neither would I. But Fugly and Breezy left standing. Here towards the outside portion of the map with these Deagles, trying to use them at range. And I tell you what, it is real code red scenario for NRG that someone trying to claw something out of this round, but you don't imagine they're going to find. Ooh, Breezy with the Deagle. My goodness. That's DZT somewhat getting a little bit wrecked down towards CT Spawn. The rest of the gang, though, over on the side of Imperial are still feeling very, very comfortable. They have these rifles. Breezy's gotten the ball rolling here, though, for NRG, and a chance to maybe build something in a round where you weren't expecting much. Still, this Brazilian squad, they've been around the block a few times, have some of these guys. They know what they're doing, and they're not too keen on letting NRG build back into this round.
Yeah, Breezy's coming in from that split, but surely Imperial is somewhat aware of this. Showtime's going to be watching down from the side, so ZQKS should be safe, assuming Showtime's quick on the trigger, and he is. Shot in the back is ZQKS, but Showtime peeks out from the site and finds both. Nice shutdown there, keeps Imperial in this round. 4 players surviving as well, so money starting to build up here for the CTs. And only just built up for NRG, who will be able to get yet another buy. But this has been a great recovery from Imperial, a 5-1 start to a 5-4. Can they keep it up? That's a question in our minds. No orbs either. NRG going back towards his yard. Again, they've been so consistent towards it. That's a great nade from DZT though, and he plays a close smoke, so let's see if they expect this different position. Daps runs right by, and DZT gets himself a 1-for-1. The issue is ZQKS is smoked off, and Ethan's actually picked him up from top of the silo, so NRG now doubling down with their opening kills and able to take control towards B. So Showtime wants to get aggressive in his own, try and get some information, clear out some of this lobby. Shiz as well, not finding much, and Tifa's the only man down on B, which is where NRG have some players. But with the bomb still dropped towards the yard, this is not so far a commitment here for the T's, which leaves it open to still being an Imperial wing, considering they have this aggressive A control.
Be sure to keep your eye on Showtime, though, who right now has secured a very deep foothold behind enemy lines. Tifa is starting to turn his attention towards that side. It's going to go unnoticed, but missed opportunity. Shiz doing what he can, and actually that might be more than enough because he's dropped the bomb. Now Showtime with this aggression gets rewarded, and that leaves Ethan into the 1v1. 35 seconds and only 8 HP to his name. Showtime holding the angle, but Ethan deletes him. NRG. What? A 6th round, 8 HP. Ethan clutching that out in the 1v2. Fantastic stuff from him as he hits the ground running here, but a buy still available to Imperial. And actually, Hugo, I just want to quickly say something. I just received a tweet from a man named XD2322.
Okay.
Very reasonable name.
Yeah.
But you know, other than that, seems great because actually he's given me the first, and this is actually a pretty legitimate reason to use that sort of variation of spelling esports, is because obviously in Portuguese the word for sport is very, very similar. I'm not going to try and attempt to say it, but it basically looks exactly the same as esports. And that was like one of the, I remember actually when we did Belo Horizonte, that was one of the things was esports and the word for sports in Portuguese looks almost identical, and that caused some confusion at some points. So that's actually a pretty like legitimate reason for adding the dash in. So fair enough. You know what, Imperial? Hats off to you guys. You figured it out. You cracked the code. I think this is one maybe we could let slide.
Well, Ethan won't let anything slide with this. SG getting himself into the opening kill towards the A site. Breezy side by side. It's a flank again in lobby. Tifa spamming the door, and Breezy, he does the return damage. Who's going to get the kills? Breezy coming out on top with low HP. Ethan does have that bomb on the site as well, so this plant can come in, but he's not got cover towards the heavens, and ZQKS is closing the distance in through main. We even have another long wrap from DZT coming all the way back through the lobby, and surely NRG won't expect this pace. Ethan is somewhat convinced, got his eyes close by. They could double peek main here as well, but if Ethan goes in alone and goes down to this AWP, that will be a big problem. Luckily enough, he spots it, predicts it, and 30 seconds left up as DZT, he has got to surprise, but he's been gifted an awful present. It's a B site take. NRG have dropped down the vents and will be going to the lower bomb site.
They do give up the vents though, so he's allowed to at least secure a bit of a foothold here. And isolates this fight with Ethan, not quite able to win it though. Had he, suddenly that becomes a very doable clutch for DZT, right? He would have been in the 1v1. Breezy was previously tagged down low. There was a real opportunity there for Imperial. Ethan able to win his fight out though, and that allows him to dodge the threat of throwing that one away. NRG up to a 7-4 start here on their T side of Nuke.
Ethan really has been coming into his own today. I mean, look at that shot in the 1v1 back through main, and now that huge 3K when NRG were down in player numbers. Huge round from him. If he can keep that up, Imperial should certainly be quaking in their boots. 3 players up on ramp, the early boost even coming through, and I love this setup. You've got the man, Tifa, to bait them in, and you've got the surprise of the 2 players as seen. Plus even another man to rotate in through CT if need be, but let's see if NRG even commit here for the time being, because they're just holding this strong lobby default once again, trying to find an opening kill. We do have, once again, Daps in position down towards this B site. Knowing that Imperial are on pistols means this yard is not being contested in any way. And so therefore the bomb will try and cross in the hands of Cirque. In the meantime, Imperial have had enough of waiting around, so they'll decide to get aggressive, but they might come to regret it with Breezy opening up.
More kills going to go running into Breezy's crosshair. Nice spray transfer onto Showtime, but Breezy in with 4, and yeah, that does just leave 1 man remaining. So a tiny bit of damage found, but not going to be anything to write home about for Imperial. NRG sitting 8-4 up here on their T side of Nuke. And this is where, you know, for Imperial, it has been a pretty terrifying sight to see over on this side of NRG, and that is the Breezy and Ethan really showing up in spades. Fugly having a great performance as well. I think it's worth noting that. Cirque, obviously, we haven't really seen him on the AWP. So any time will tell how that feels for this NRG roster. But they've just been doing fine with the rifles, so keeping this faster style of play. Already DZT going to go blow for blow versus Daps towards outside, and that will be Imperial kickstarting this round in a 5-on-4. Smokes are down, allows Ethan to gain a bit of a foothold here toward outside. Even going to go as far as to smoke off Mini, which to me suggests we might see them try and wrap around towards this heaven position. And that does look to be the case as they smoke close. Their QKS going to find 1. Ethan has gotten by. Will he be ready for it? He most certainly will. So another man down, and Breezy and Cirque all that remain here for NRG.
Yeah, surely this one's going to be undoable for NRG. They've come out of some dire situations before, but that's a start. Cirque finds the man rotating up from lower. Oh, looking for another, but ZQKS is on the outside. He's going to be able to win his duel and backing off, not wanting to overstep and give away another frag. 3 kills for ZQKS, massive round so far, and Breezy's got to have a similar, if not better, performance as he creeps down towards B. Now, the only good thing about this is the B site's empty right now, so a plant will be gifted. He'll have to make some noise to go for it, and if anything, he'll probably be surprised by the fact that this site is empty. Might not even commit so quickly to the plant. You can see he's trying to clear out this B site and worked out that the majority of it is empty, so this plant at least will come through for now, but as the retake set up from Imperial, it should be a guaranteed round. Tifa wins his duel, and 4 now made 5 on the CT side for the Brazilians.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think that, you know, ZQK does actually bring into this roster, along with, you know, actually a lot of these guys, you know, being reasonably experienced for the most part. ZQK has been around for a very long time competing, you know, a very long tenure, both in global offensive, and I'm trying to remember if it was Source or 1.6. I'm awful at remembering, I think it was Source. I want to say Source, but I don't know, I couldn't tell you, right? Point is, he's been around the block a few times. And that's where I think having him as your IGL is going to come in handy, because in situations like this, where you've got to try and grind your way back into the game, you are the underdog, that's exactly what you want. You want to have someone experienced to try and rally the team together, try and keep morale high. That was one of the problems we saw just earlier on in the Asian Minor, for example, in the matchup. In both matchups that Gosu played, that was their big issue, right, was being able to close out games in which they initially had a lead. And one of the biggest reasons for that is, you know, lack of experience. You start to get in your own head a bit, starts to feel like you're running into a wall. Oh. 5-8, and a chance for Imperial to salvage a pretty decent half, especially if they manage to pick this round up, because NRG will have very little to work with in this following round if they do. So this one becomes an important one for Imperial. Early on, NRG going to be setting up towards outside once again. DZT here. Along the side, Shiz to try and do damage. Flashed off the angle, and Fugly will go ahead and secure the entry for NRG. Still up in the heavens is Tifa, but he's not keen on peeking into outside. Instead, just going to keep an eye on the heaven wrap. And he might get rewarded for it. Fugly is looking curious as to what heaven has in store.
Oh, Imperial have made a big gamble. They've given up ramp and they have a heavy A setup, which should be good, but the issue is Fugly spotted Tifa here, and he's going to be able to, wow, I was going to say catch him out, but apparently not, but Tifa falling to his death. Oh dear, he wanted to escape the situation. Instead he escapes his life itself. Now it's just 2 players left up for Imperial. ZQKS does get a frag on that AUG, but now it's Showtime alone on the A site. Ethan coming in through the heaven, the pressure coming in from main as well. Showtime, what can he show us? Nothing past the first. It's Breezy to double down. And, oh no, Tifa. That could have been a very doable round with such a strong A setup from Imperial. They had 3 players there, a man down B in a 4-on-4 as well, but Tifa falling to his death gives NRG the advantage, and they're going to take 9 rounds on the half, Harry. 1 more left, maybe even double digits for the North Americans.
And I mean, this has already been such a good T-side from NRG. That's the worrying thing if you are Imperial. This round, at least, they've been able to spot out Breezy and tag him down. They would have loved to have taken the man advantage there, but they will take what they can get. DZT hiding in this smoke might catch Daps off guard, and that was 4 by 3 if you've ever seen it.
Oh, no.
They've gone by one another. Oh, and Shiz, he's probably not going to be happy with that. There was a man watching outside, so he's now scratching his head, wondering how a man managed to get in. Showtime trying to get the job done. Does pick up 2 seemingly from nowhere. Dap's going to get brought down to his knees, and oh no, Fugly dispatched up. This now gets very, very scary as Dap's thrust into a clutch and a 1v3. The bomb down and out of this round, so he's got to go ahead and retrieve that before he does anything. And with 2 players wrapped around and in the back line, Dap's going to try and deal with this. Doesn't happen. Imperial able to salvage that round.
So while the flank in through main is so good because DZT doesn't know, it actually comes back to haunt NRG because they don't know there's a man so close to main outside. So that wrap back into A from main was really nice from DZT. Very, very nice round for half, though, from NRG regardless. 6 rounds on the T side, and we're going to be heading into the second in just a moment. So do join us after the break for the second half.
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Vodafone, Acer Predator, Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, HyperX, Betway, and pay Safeguard.
NRG off to a stunning start in the first half here of Nuke. Of course, a best-of-1 opening game for this group here in the Americas Minor. Now Imperial flipping things over to the T side. These Brazilian boys have to show us what they're made of as we get into this pistol round. ZQKS on the utility here. Everyone else armored up and pretty standard stuff as well from NRG. Nothing too crazy as the Imperial guys set up outside of the ramp early on. Now ZQKS, he's on the roof, so that can allow for him to throw nades towards a yard, get them into the A site potentially. But right now Imperial looking to pressure ramp.
Yeah, Fugly is here, but his job is just to get the information. So now that he's got it, he falls off. Does just give ramp control to Imperial. Not exactly the most difficult portion of the map to gain control of. We do see a lot of teams do just elect to play the information game over at ramp now as opposed to the old meta, which used to be challenging it. And now with ramp control for Imperial, question becomes what are they going to do with it? They go ahead and start to push out towards the A bomb site. Showtime does open up, but they're not ready for Breezy, who just deletes both players. Makes that look uncomfortably easy as Tifa and Showtime taste the 9mm bullets. DZT from up in the heavens does get that surprise drop in on a Cirque. Breezy now in a position, Fugly rather, left up in the 1v1. DZT pushes forward and actually is able to pick it up. So Imperial securing themselves the pistol round here in the second half as they go 7-9.
I really like that pistol play from Imperial. The immediate ramp control is great because not only does it force Fugly off, meaning he plays down lower B and therefore can't flank lobby, but it also makes the Heaven player focus on the idea of a wrap. So he's not watching the A site. The smoke comes in to cut off his line of sight up in Heaven, and then we see that long wrap round from DZT in through the ramp room that they've already gained control of. Really nice execute from Imperial. And NRG definitely did not expect that kind of play. 9-7 here as we see CZs across the board with one SMG on Breezy. So with Imperial winning that pistol round, a very real chance of them equaling this up at 9-9 after the force of NRG. Bringing us down to even Stevens. Let's see if NRG can find this pistol win. Right now it's a slow play from Imperial looking to set up utility for that outside position. So the wall of smokes is down and they'll be able to cross with that bomb towards the secret. And NRG already have Daps in position there ready with the smoke as well, so they're going to be very clued up as to what's going on.
Oh. Yeah. No mystery here as UK is spotted out down in secret. Daps just having to drop his smoke and falls off the angle. Rest of Imperial, they're set up over here towards the hut, looking to try and push in to this A bomb site. Smoke is down right now, and NRG 20 seconds left. They know that Imperial have to try and make a play soon or else this round just isn't happening. And as that clock ticks down and down, the advantage is going to start to switch things up because now suddenly, if this bomb doesn't go down, this round is all said and done. And there's Breezy in with 2. The bomb's dropped and only 4 seconds left. There's no time for Tifa. Even if he grabs that bomb, it's all said and done. NRG locking in that round. Imperial betrayed by the clock, put under pressure, and that's where NRG thrive. As they keep their cool and steal a round that really they didn't have any business winning.
Yeah, and off the back of a couple of big multi-kills as well from NRG, that really hurts Imperial. Their chances to get back in this game were so high after winning that pistol round, but now they're starting to sink lower. 10 to NRG, and rifles in play as well, as Imperial only have pistols with that solo SMG saved. Now, they do have a lot of utility, so can go for another one of these executes. And Imperial definitely seem like they have some game plans on this T side, but we are early days. All the smokes once again. So going to have to spam through it because you won't be able to stop these T's from crossing. They've already made it past. But Daps is already on the other side, ready and waiting with the Mac 10. 1 for 1. Trade is going to be there, but not exactly a weapon dropped over of any value. Cirque will find another player down on ramp, but actually I say no value. The Mach 10 works out for Tifa as he takes down Ethan over by the vents, and Fugly drops a bomb down the stairs. It's a man advantage for NRG, but Imperial, they know exactly where Fugly is. Doesn't seem to make a difference. 3 kills, 11 rounds for NRG, and the shutdown of the force buy puts Imperial down to a full eco.
Yeah, just gonna have to take one on the chin, and if you are Imperial, that's pretty gut-wrenching to have to do, handing a 12th round over to NRG, leaving yourself with very little wiggle room. But they don't really have any other choice. Looking like it's just gonna be the fast A flank, maybe try and get that bomb down through the vents. Already the Molotov falls in to deny that early rush. But waiting on the other side is gonna be the 4 Glocks on this Brazilian squad. They do break the vents. Will they manage to get down? It certainly doesn't look like it. Breezy's already gone on this flank. Kill them up at the remainders. It's a 12-7 secured as NRG convert.
Breezy's tearing through them right now. 23 and 12 on that man. I mean, think about the pistol as well. He's had some fantastic rounds in this game so far. 12-7 for NRG, and another buy hit for Imperial. Really the first full rifle buy we've had on the half, and even then, no AWP, 2 Galils. At least they've got the utility, but it's far from perfect for this T side. NRG, they're looking to take control outside immediately, once again having this close main player now. 2 of them, in fact, with a third back towards the garage. Daps is going to move back into the A site rather, so Ethan, he is tasked with being that solo aggressive player, but it's not a worry. Imperial have given up yard after early smokes. They've gone back towards that lobby. Fugly again, probably going to be fighting a little bit more on ramp than earlier in that pistol round. Take a pot shot, fall off. Allow Cirque to pick up the pieces. And they might have to do exactly that with Imperial setting up outside of ramp with 3.
Ooh, but to their dismay, Breezy is able to secure the first. Fugly actually falls a little short down here in the ramp room, and now that means Cirque tasked with trying to rotate in and mop up some of this mess. Imperial do manage to retrieve the bomb and now turn their attention down toward B. Daps doesn't spot DZT there. So we'll see if that's something that comes back to haunt him. Showtime does have the bomb on his back, and he's looking to try and punch in these numbers now. Once again, though, they've let this clock tick down very, very low. Always a bit of an issue, especially as they decide to fake it out. Tapping on that now gives that much more time to NRG to allow these rotations to come in. If you're Imperial, you put a lot of emphasis on that flank from DZT. You're really hoping it could find something, and it gets absolutely nothing done. So now Showtime in this 1-on-4 is able to pick up the first. We need to see more from him, and it's just not happening. Breezy, a 13th round cemented for NRG as he continues his stellar form. I mentioned him briefly at the beginning of the game, saying you can always rely on him to at least be decent. Well, he's certainly going above and beyond that now, is Breezy. Showing some star form, 26 and 12.
And, you know, it looked like it could have gotten out of control there for NRG. Imperial did a good job of faking those rotations, or forcing those rotations. They went for their A smoke and flash execute, and that not only forced Cirque out of ramp room back up towards the heaven, but it also made Fugly move forward to try and chase into the lobby, and he gets caught out of position. So a very good opener there from Imperial, but unfortunately they couldn't get it done in the post plant. 7-13, fast A play here, only pistols, and Ethan, he is just tearing them up. 3 kills, Breezy finds 1, Fugly joins the party, and the birthday candles have been blown out. It is 14-7 right now for NRG. Imperial, they may have had a start to the T side, but that has fallen off quite dramatically since.
And I mean, largely it's on the back of Breezy. Just this unreal form achieved from him right now. Ethan is the man that we so often talk about, but usually up alongside him is Breezy. And now looking like he's even got as far as to rise above him, at least in this matchup. Breezy always been someone who does look very at home here on Nuke, though it has to be said. Cirque, interesting enough, going to be donning the org. That's something that I think is... I see how. Let's focus on this.
Wow.
Yeah, okay, Showtime's going to get annihilated there.
I don't think he even saw Ethan as well.
No, that's one of the issues with those sorts of angles where, you know, you're having to tuck yourself into like a little corner. If you're closer to it, you saw that Ethan was the guy standing furthest from the angle, so he can actually see you before you see him.
Yeah. Smoke didn't help either.
No, definitely not. Smoke's the CS, notoriously finicky. No, I'm not trying to pronounce Pimp's last name.
No, that's impossible.
But Ethan continuing to lock down this outside portion of the map. ZQK hoping that he can find this trade better late than never, but the timing couldn't be worse. That's the bomb dropped, and now under control of Ethan. Breezy's going to win his fight out on the ramp, and Tifa.
Oh my god. This is, yeah, Ethan is just having an absolute ball. The timing on every single one of those peaks, apart from the last one, where the T walked into him, was perfect. Imperial were watching the right side of red, but every time Ethan wide strafed, they were on the left side, so not ready for that. And sometimes, Harry, there's just nothing you can do.
No, you know, and sometimes, you know, it's just not your day. Maybe that was the case for Imperial, at least at this opening game. As NRG sitting on a map point, looking to try and secure that spot in the upper bracket.
You do have to remember as well, this is the best team in the Americas Minor, so it shouldn't come as too huge of a surprise. And I don't think this should, you know, hurt Imperial in the long run. They still have plenty more chances to bounce back from this, but they're not over just yet. Showtime's found an entry. However, Daps is holding down that ramp room.
Yeah, no, I think your sentiment there is bang on. And Imperial, they've already shown that they can do it against some of the big dogs down in Brazil. NRG maybe just one step too far for them, at least right now. You know, it is the opening day. But the bomb down, a 3v4 in the post plant. They've had time to work with here. Time to set up some of these post-plant positions, but they lose Tifa on that fight to Breezy. And this now leaves a lot of pressure on these two remaining players. ZQK, a 1v2 required. They're on the bomb, but he's found Fugly, and that there might be enough. Daps taps it. At this point, there's no time anyway. And ZQK through the smoke. An 8th round for Imperial. He steps up in the clutch and puts, you know, years of, I don't know, I guess like dedication. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Couldn't think of it. Thank you very much, Hugo.
English is hard.
It very much is.
The 15-8 still NRG sitting on map and match point for this best of one opening game. A long road to recovery for Imperial, but they do have the AWP on ZQKS to try and find these opening kills. Cirque posted on the yard, already ready for that one. We've not seen him on the AWP too much this map, but now that we do, it's certainly a threat. Imperial learned the hard way, losing the AWP early on. Fugly, Molotov down on ramp, tries to force the peak from Tifa, but not going to be able to do so. Now moving back in towards that ramp route, trying to find his own entry kill, but Lil is not known for his entry capability. Cirque may be met with AWP 2 as DZT picks it back up. But you can see NRG do not want to give this outside control away. They're still putting pressure on. Nades coming through from Ethan. Daps is holding the back of the warehouse as well. Cirque's repositioned, and he might be able to find a player, but they've actually spotted him out, so he's got to be very careful.
Oh. That landed. DZT just wallbangs Ethan. So he's probably a little bit confused now. That's where Daps peeks wide, and you can see this org just laying waste to Imperial outside. My goodness, Daps is leading by example, and Tifa in a 1v4, that's a lot to ask. NRG will be taking this opening series up against the Imperial Esports gang. Try as they might to get back into the matchup there, that is just too much to ask. And NRG, a 16-8 victory, propelling them into that winners match now, and that's going to poise them very, very nicely to do well at this minor.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, that's exactly what they want. It's a good showing, especially after, if you recall back to London, right? they needed to get off to a strong start here. They've set a bit of a precedent for themselves. Now they can look to try and continue that heading forward.
Yeah, not one that Imperial should look too deeply into. Again, you're facing one of the top teams of your entire North American region, so that's fine to see. Imperial do have a chance to bounce back after that loss, but NRG going forward now. To get acquainted with what else is going on, we've got Bravado INTZ going down as well right now. INTZ leading 7-6, and that will be over on the mainstream if you are interested. But we do have more Counter-Strike here over on the secondary stream as well. We got Envy facing another Brazilian team, Team 1, coming up in just a few moments. So we're going to be heading to a short break, and then join us after that for the second opening group best of 1 here at the Americas Minor.